Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fease webinar. So I am Leonie Creer. I'm the D6 product owner of the finance module. So I just want to give you a little bit of background how Fease evolved and how Fease was started. We looked at the 650 schools that use our finance module, and we looked at their data. So according to this, we found that 8.5 billion rand worth of invoices for school fees were made out in a 12-month period. From this 8.5 billion rand, 3.3 billion rand were outstanding after the 12 months. About 100 million were written off as bad debt, and about, I think it was 340 million rand were handed over to debt collectors. On this huge amounts, we decided, or we saw that there's a gap in the market, and that is how Fees evolved. D6 Finance is partnering with Fees, and I'm going to give over to Ladine to explain the product for you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Leonie. Yes, so I'm Ladine. I project manage Fees, and it was very interesting to see all the data that Leonie just shared with you. So on the back of that, I'd like you to do some introspection. Have a look at your own school. How much school fee debt is currently outstanding for your school? And how much time does it take to follow up every month on those outstanding accounts? Is it hours, days, weeks? And we're not even talking about the emotional capacity that you have to follow up on the outstanding amounts. Do you get to everyone, or is it only the culprits, the biggest culprits that you get to? And then are you confident that everything is according to legal compliant to legal legislation? And then when you get to the handover point, is your paperwork in order? Do you know that everything is good to go once you get to that point that you want to hand over an account? Now, we know that the scale of debt in schools is alarming. It's really a big problem. It's not just here and there, a few late fees that someone has to pay. It's millions. And if it affects the budget and it rolls over to the rest of the school. So it's a really important thing that the school has to give attention to. The administrative burden is immense. So the amount of hours that the personnel has to spend on following up on accounts could have been used to attend to the learners or focus on something else. And this is typically something that can be automated. So this is where Fees comes in. We know that timeliness is everything, and timing. So we want to ensure that accounts are followed up on time, every time, because the data on this is clear. The longer an amount is outstanding, or your accounts are outstanding and still unpaid, the longer it takes to get and recover that money. I always laugh because one of the schools told me when we were talking about outstanding school fees, she's like, no, she knows about collections. She is Woolworths. And I'm like, what do you mean? No, you either are Woolworths or Edgar's. So Edgar's would follow up maybe once every 3 months if you owe them money. But Woolworths, they will be on your case every week. And we want to help you be Woolworths. We want to enable you and give you the tools so that you can follow up every week without anything falling through the cracks or any human errors. And we can do that. So we know and we can ensure that the follow-up process is consistent and it doesn't open the school up for any legal risk because it's compliant. So that brings us now to why Fees. So as Leonie mentioned, there's a gap. There was a gap between invoicing and the moment that you hand over to the debt collectors. It was a manual process. A lot of our schools tell us how time-consuming it is, how heavy it is on the resources. So this is something where Fees comes in and helps the schools and be their partner in debt management. So Fees is your compassionate partner in school fee recovery, empowering your school with a seamless, automated, and compliant solution that preserves the positive relationship with parents, because that's important. It's a sensitive topic, and you want to ensure that the communication that goes out stays professional. So we transform this challenge of outstanding school fees from a reactive struggle into a proactive, streamlined process that will give you financial ease. And that's also where the name comes from. Fees, financial ease. So just a few quotes from our schools when we engaged with them. They said they couldn't in the past get to all the accounts. It was just too many. There's too much going on in the school, but now they can get to everyone, even the small amounts. And that's important because they become big amounts. It allowed the admin staff to do 2 weeks of worth of work in 2 hours. And they wanted to appoint someone to do the job, and then they decided to get Fees. So there's also dashboard functionality that you can have an overview on the financial health of your school. But before I get ahead of myself, Jaco will do a demo for us. What he's going to just, in short, he's going to show the real-time data, the on-demand sync between D6 Plus Finance and Fees. So it's no need to import or export any sheets or duplicate any data entries. Everything is real-time and it's live. So you have full control on the follow-ups that you send out, on the overdue accounts. So it depends on the way that you set up your workflow, and you can have it either fully automated, or you can decide, okay, today I'm going to send out the emails, and you do only emails. And then tomorrow you're going to do the follow-up reminder. You have full control over that. Okay. Also, all the actions that happen on an account is the entire history or the promise to pays that the parents said they will pay. Everything is in the system on that account. So you'll have overview of the whole picture and the history. This is all will happen with a peace of mind and knowing that according to the South African Schools Act, you are following the legal procedure. You're doing it legally aligned. You're doing it the right way. So when it comes to handing over accounts, you know that you're sorted. Then the dashboard I mentioned, you can either have a quick glance at the financial overview and financial health of your school, or you can drill in deep into those records. You can build your own reports to get that in-depth insight and make the right decisions for your school. It shows you the debtor days, account activity analysis, the aging, everything you need to know, and to equip you to make the best decisions. So I'm going to hand over to Jaco. Thank you very much for showing us the product. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask it in the chat. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Ladine. Okay, before we start, I just want to make sure that you can see my screen, the dashboard screen. Just want to get a thumbs up. Okay, good. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us this morning. So you'll get a Fees database when you register with Fees that is connected to your D6 Finance School. And as mentioned, we have an integration that is set up between the finance system that directly that syncs the transactional information into Fees. Before we go into the detail of the dashboard itself, I just want to quickly stand still here at the top, the blue bar, of some settings. So here on the top right-hand side, you can see where automation can be fully automated. This means that you can simply activate your automation follow-up actions, and the system will do the follow-ups to each parent based on your rules, or you can disable it to do the follow-up actions manually. Then, as mentioned, there's an integration on a daily basis. Early in the morning, a synchronization takes place where all the latest information is pulled from D6 Finance, but this can also be called on demand. So you simply click on sync now, and this will pull the transactional information into your Fees database. So to illustrate an example of this, so you can come in this morning, log into Fees at 8 o'clock, but you are aware that bank reconciliation still needs to take place in D6 Finance, and that's normally done at 9 o'clock. Then as soon as that is done, you can come here and click on sync, and that will pull in the latest information, payments, so that you ensure that you only follow up on the accounts that are truly outstanding. Then the sync takes a couple of minutes. Then Next to the syncing is a chat icon. This puts you directly in contact with our Fease support team, where you can directly ask a question or leave a message or leave a support query, and the Fease support will then address your needs. Then next to it is the activity menu item. I will go into a bit more detail onto that a bit later. So on your dashboard, we have what we call information blocks that provides insight into your school's finances, where we have a block that's basically showing your pending action, follow-up actions that are scheduled and you'd like to take that's still pending and needs action, your total outstanding debt, your total advance, then fees exempt and written off and handed over. With some of these blocks, we do interesting comparison values where we actually show the year-to-date value from last year, so as you can see if you exempted more or less in the current year compared to last year. We also show you the amounts outstanding and the cashless payments that were made. These blocks are also interactive, meaning, so what I mean by that is if you actually click on the block, it will take you to the underlying data. So for the total outstanding debt, it takes you to the accounts overview grouped by the highest age bracket. So if you like to see what accounts are has the oldest debt, you can actually just click on it and it will give you a list of the accounts. But before we go into the detail of that, let's just go to the dashboard again. And the same rule applies for the other cards. So if you like to see what accounts were written off for the year, you can just click on written off. And if you hover over the specific tag, we provide extra information, or you can simply click on the account to view the detail of it. Okay. Under the info cards, we also have some interesting graphs where we show the age balances, total outstanding per age balances, the total outstanding per category summary, and then my favorite is the total debt and payments received charts that should be viewed in conjunction with each other, where this database I'm demoing on today is just a test database, but when fees are implemented for your school, what we would expect to see is that your total debt chart will decline, where your payments received chart will incline, showing the effectiveness of using fees. Then we've got some other interesting graphs showing the age balances per grade, this and the total debt per grade. This is interesting because this can also indicate or help you identify parents, new parents, the first child in your school, to identify who's going to be bad payer in the sense, so that you can maybe apply a different or a more aggressive follow-up strategy for them. This is just to be used for risk profiling. As mentioned, we integrate with D6. That means we also pull the promise to pays and notes captured on the accounts. You've got a table view of the promise, the most from the oldest to the newest promise to pays that still needs to be completed. The completion of the promise to pay needs to happen in D6 Finance because that's where the payment is captured, but registering or loading a promise to pay can be done in Fees, and then it also syncs back to D6 Finance. Maybe show that a bit later. And then we'll also show the top 10 accounts for the highest outstanding. The idea behind this is the accounts that you actually need to take aggressive action, maybe start looking at handing them over. Okay. With your Fees database, you get one standard workflow. And in that workflow, we have follow-up actions. The follow-up actions that comes with the standard workflow is set out as the standard that we researched and feel is the most effective, where the workflow can be activated to run automatically or subject to the global automation setting, of course, or the action itself. So what we normally recommend is for your friendly reminders and follow-up reminders, set them to run automatically, but your letter of demand and your section 41s that you send out, you do that more on a manual. You come in and validate if you actually would like to send them out. Just to stand still a bit on the stats that we show, each action has rules as to what account falls in that specific action. So for a friendly reminder, there's 149 accounts that falls into the specific action. What that means is that account has an aging between 31 and 60 days. The account's days outstanding is greater than 31, but not greater than 60 because that's the new aging bracket. What action type is followed? The send email. If this rule is applied to specific cost categories, is just for school fees, or is this just for registration fees? We'll show a bit about that a bit later. On the action itself, you can also define who should receive it, just the accountable person or the accountable person plus the parent 1, parent 2. If the parent 1 and accountable person or the parent 2 and accountable person is the same person, it will still only send one email. Then email templates are linked to each follow-up action. You are in full control of what the content of the email template says. For example, if you would like to reference a specific SGB meeting that was held, specific to your school, you can. The standard template is loaded with each action that you can alter. If you'd like to see how a preview of this template looks like on your follow-up, you can just click on preview email. This gives you an example of how account will look like, and this specific account has no outstanding balance, so let me maybe just choose another one. So this is an example of how this reminder email would look like for this specific account, Maria, with a 10,000 plus outstanding for more than 30 days. As mentioned, you can change these template details as you'd like. Okay, let's just close over here. Some interesting stats with regards to the follow-up actions. So we show the amount of accounts linked to this action, the amount of actions scheduled currently to be sent out. At the moment, we don't have any, and then how many actions were completed. Then the one that's quite interesting is the success rate. We sort of measure if the parent reacted on the action. This is to measure the effectiveness of the follow-up action, where if you send a follow-up email, SMS action, and they responded by actually making payment after receiving that mail. If you send, if they did not respond and you send another follow-up action, we regard the previous action as failed, and that's how we measure the effectiveness of each action. From the workflow screen, you can actually navigate to all of the accounts linked to this standard workflow or all the follow-ups that were created. So, as mentioned before, you can fully automate this process. I'm going to show you the manual bulk way of doing it. So if you go to your standard workflow and you click on follow up all, this will bring up a screen where to show you what actions needs to be taken based on the rules that you've set up. You can schedule it to be sent out at a later time or date if you prefer it. So if you'd like to only be sent out at 12 o'clock, you can choose the time to be sent out later, or you can just create and then select the list and manual send, or create and send them. This gives you a breakdown of what actions will be done, how many accounts are applicable, and how many recipients will actually receive the communication. Now, these recipients are calculated based on the communication preference of each parent. If they say they only want to be contacted by email or SMS, then they would be excluded from that specific action. So the accounts is what is outstanding, but the recipients will always vary based on the accounts. You can always disable a specific action if you don't want to create that specific one in bulk. So for example, I'm going to disable the letter of demand one. I just want to create the 30 to 60 day reminder for email and SMS. As soon as you click on create, your actions will be scheduled. And as you see, the account for scheduled increased. If I click on this specific one, it will open the 122 that was just scheduled. If you now, for example, realize that, oh, I still need to do my bank recon, you can come and select and cancel them if you'd like, or you can simply go and update your bank recon, do a sync now. Even though the follow-up was scheduled, we still do a final check if there's money outstanding before we actually send. In that case, the action will just cancel by itself. To manually send a specific action, I just don't want to send an SMS. I just want to go to the email one. From this 109 that was scheduled, you can bulk select them. If you opted for the manual bulk process, you just say selected all, 109 selected, and you click on send to process all of them. Because it's live, I just want to send a single SMS, a single email. You can simply do it by clicking on send. If you prefer, or if you would like to see how the message is going to look like specifically for this account, you can click on view. It gives you a preview of how it will look like for this specific account based on that account's language preference as well. So in this case, this account is set to for English, and that's why the English message is shown as below. Okay. In Fease, we also, before we go to the reports, maybe let's quickly have a look at the global settings that can be set up with regards to your workflow, and what specific workflow configurations you can apply as well. If you go to your settings view, under your workflow section, you can specify what workflow needs to be applied for any new accounts. So if, let's say, for example, your Fees has been running for more than a year now, any new grade 1 pupils, first-time pupils and accounts, what the workflow they need to be assigned to. You can specify the follow-up time when reminders need to be sent out, when you've enabled automation. But the two that that's more valuable in my point of view is your follow-up wait days. This is just to prevent this sort of like, even though however you've scheduled your follow-up actions, we added a soft block in so that you can't by accident spam a parent by emailing them. If you do manual follow-ups, we will still give you a warning saying, sorry, you did send an email in the last 7 days. Are you really sure you would like to send them one again? So this is sort of like a warning soft measure so that you don't oversend emails or SMSs. Then we also have a follow-up threshold where a parent can maybe did a short payment of 50 Rand that you'd like to exclude any accounts where there's a couple of rands outstanding, just to prevent follow-ups on those specific accounts. Then you can set this value to, for example, 50 Rand or 100 Rand. You can upload your school logo and colors, change your signature that's added at the bottom of the communication that goes out, and you can enable if they should receive a link to view their statement, and the rest is just finance settings where you can, for example, specify if you'd like the statement to be viewed with a debit or credit balance. And then on payments and collections, if you like to enable cashless payments and show your bank account on the statement. But I'll show this in a bit more detail just now. Okay. On the workflows configuration itself, if I open the standard workflow, and let's open the section 41. So on the section 41, you specify for what age bracket it needs to be applied on what specific days outstanding. If it has a prerequisite action, this basically means that this action cannot be completed if you did not send a letter of demand. By law, you need to mention at least once to the parent that they can apply for exemption if they qualify, and as part of the letter of demand that's sent out, that references that specific point. And this is just to make sure that you comply to what the regulatory requirement is. As mentioned, you can specify the category of what is applied for this specific follow-up action. Because the section 41 only applies for school fees, you limit it to the school fees category, but you can, on other follow-ups, you can specify other categories to use. And this is where you define if this action is automatic and what action type can be used. So we have the functionality to send an email, SMS, a letter of demand, registered email, or registered SMS. Here at the bottom is where you specify who should receive it. Maybe just to mention the section 401 rule is if you do send a section 41, it's advised to hand over the full debt just to ensure that you only send it once for the full amount. Or you can, if you'd like, you can send it for the current debt as well. By default, the setting would be on all debt. If you'd like to preview how the section 41 letter of demand looks like, and again, you can click on preview and select a specific account as to how it looked like if you send it to that specific account. Not sure what account might have a big amount, but this is an example of how it would look like. Okay. Yeah, you've got options to disable a specific action if you don't like to use it. For example, if you don't want to send the final notice, you've got the option to disable it. You can also delete this action. You can create new ones. You can tailor it to your specific follow-up strategy. This is the standard that you would get. Okay. So if we go to reports now and go to a list of actions, and we go to this specific account, we will have a account overview of what happened on this specific account, where on the right-hand side, you would see all the messages that were sent, On the account, you've got what the account code is, who's the accountable person, start date, what workflow is applied to the specific account. You've got the option to pause or disable the account, where a pause can be seen as a temporary pause. Maybe the parent sent you a proof of payment and you just like to pause follow-up strategies for a week or two until the payment actually is reckoned on your bank, or if there's a more serious reason and you'd like to completely disable this follow-up, then you have control with a reason, so that if you that's because there's now a workflow action pending, and they just mentioned that it would be cancelled as soon as you change it to disabled. That was the warning for. So this is just to ensure that there is controls in the system, so you don't accidentally or send follow-ups based on what the settings is currently. So the reason why I wanted to show the disable is that you can now provide a reason. So if you have a multi-user fees database, your colleague can then actually see what is the reason of why this account was disabled for referencing in the future. Okay. On the account itself, we show the age balances per category. This specific account only has school fees and one learner. We show the list of learners where there's extra fields that you can optionally view to see balances specific through aging. The debtor notes, if there were any, that would be pulled through from D6 Finance. If you add one, of course, it will sync back to D6 as well. And the promises to pay is, if there's any loaded, the full action history of this account, also indicating what the next action is that needs to be followed in this account should the action be taken. As this account is disabled, you can see the follow-up button here on the top left corner has been disabled as well. You get a quick view of the statement of how the statement look like. The parent, it will look like if the parent opens it up from the email they've received. I'll show this now online as well. Then a full detailed overview of the transactions specifically to this account with an open balance from 2014, and then just a timeline overview of what happened on this account. Now, we've sent this email as an example to the specific account. I'm just going to make it active again. Okay. So if the parent actually received this email, they can click on this view statement button, and then I just want to confirm if you can actually see the portal statement screen. Okay. So they would receive a link in their email that will open up an online statement of their account, showing the school's bank details as specified on D6 as the primary bank, the school details on top, the account holder and learner information. If there were multiple would have been shown, and the aging balances as how the parents are used to receiving. Here at the bottom, if cashless payments are enabled, the parent is able to actually make payment based on the age balances. If promises to pay were loaded, additional options based on the promises that the amounts that were promised will be available to be selected and to be proceed with payment. Okay. Now, if we go back to fees, under reports, we've got a full list of reports available for you. So in workflows, you can create your actions. If you'd like to see all the actions that you've done in the past and current based on status, you click on Reports Actions Report. You can filter it by the workflow it was created, what action was done. So if you'd like to see what registered letters were sent, you can click on the registered letter to filter specifically for them. If you like to see only the scheduled ones because you like to start processing them, you can click on Scheduled, select on them, and send. With each report that is provided, you can export the data with a simple click by clicking on the gear icon. You can click on Export All, or you can do a more advanced export where you select the items and you click on Action Export, where we will have more fields that's available to be selected. Just to maybe stand still on the actions report, any completed, I don't have any failed actions here, but if an action were failed, the status will be marked as failed and indicated with a red color. The same apply of the recipients. It could be that one recipient did execute successfully or sent execute successfully, but the other one didn't, and then the one of them would be indicated with a red color. If you'd like to see what the reason is, it could be the mail inbox is full, or the number doesn't exist, or the email is not captured. Then it would, if it was a failed action, it would show you indicated as such with a failure reason, and you can always investigate what the reasons are. Okay, other reports that you have available as your transactions. There's the low level detail of all the transactions in that is synced across, where you can filter specifically for school fees. And for example, you'd like to see all that applies to handed over accounts. You can filter for specific handed over accounts. Or if, for example, you'd like to see how much was invoiced each month, you can filter then for invoicing and then group by month. Okay, and then you can see the total amount per month. Then we have the cashless payments report. This just shows you all the payments that's done through the ticket integration and the status of it. And then you can see a full report of all the notes captured. This is maybe just an easier way to find the note specifically captured to an account, where you can filter for that specific note and then simply click on the account to open that account and see what the notes then are for that specific account. So if the same report has been created for the promise to pay, where you get a full list of promises, you can see what is not completed, and then you can focus on this account by phoning them or verifying if they are old and needs to be completed. You can click on view to view the specific details of it as well, and so on. Then the interesting one that provides quite better insight into your aging. If you click on the aging report, you can activate more dimensions or options for this specific report by clicking on this button here on the top, and then activating the dimensions of how you'd like to view it, where you get an aging report based on accounts. If you click on the learner one, it will give you a breakdown per learner. And for example, then you can say, I'd only like to see my aging for grade R, so you can filter it for grade R, or you can apply a group by saying, I'd like to see it per grade and view the data. The point is, there's filters on the side. You can export this data, you can play around. There's different view types of how you can view this data for very advanced reporting, should you like to report on specifics and so. Then we have a financial metric report. This gives insight into the days sales outstanding average, and the idea of this metric is to show you the performance of our fees is reducing your day sales outstanding. With this measure, it needs to be closely monitored here on the right hand side over time, and more financial metrics will be introduced over time. And the most interesting one for me is the account activity report. This focuses on the account activity in the sense of the debtor account, of what they've done. So we've got the tracking source here on the left-hand side. Basically what it is you've sent an email now to the account holder, but did they receive it? Did they click on the view statement button? Did they click on the pay now button? Did they actually proceed with the payment? And this is what this report shows you. So if I, for example, filter on the view statement button, I can see that this account, somebody clicked on the view statement button. This is only registered if a parent clicks on the view statement button, not the user that's logged into Fees. This is quite valuable. So if you phone this parent now and say, did you receive the email? They can't lie and say they didn't receive it because we tracked and confirmed that they actually received it. Then we've got a user activity. This is just for auditability to measure who accessed the system, what has been used, etc. And then we've got a communication statement showing a breakdown of the ad hoc costs that are associated with sending SMSs, registered letters, and letter of demand, where you can view the detail of each day's cost. So the statement will give a summary of it, and you can click on view to review the detail of that specific report. Okay, let's quickly go to account where we send a registered letter and follow the procedure and the follow-up process. This Vesta account, we did it on this one. So on this account, if you click on actions, you can see that we sent it a friendly reminder, a follow-up reminder, then a letter of demand, and a section 41, just to show how the registered letter that's sent through registered communication as a registered email as our provider, on that specific action that is done, as soon as the email goes out, and the certificate is then added to Fease. Just want to show you how the certificate looks like. Okay, let me just quickly fix my sharing. Apologies. I just want to confirm, can you see my... Okay. So this is the certificate that registered communication provides. If you send a registered email to them, with the detail of the email that was actually sent as to verify validated. On the account as well, you can print an account report providing all the detail of the account itself. This can be used to send to your handover partner, providing the account holder information, parent 1 and parent 2. In this case, there's only one parent loaded, and the follow-up actions that were taken. With this account report, you can also send download the account statement to provide to indicate what amounts were handed over. If you download that account statement, will look like the statement that you can see over here under the statement section, where it also indicates that the amounts were handed over and to what account. As this handed over process from a financial side needs to happen in D6 Finance, where the supporting documents side can be extracted out of Fees. And then you can click on account statement to download this specific statement that you can also send to your handover partner. Okay. Where we again pull the logo through to your school details and show the information of the statement applicable to this account. You can also see here on the statement side, you can change the statement date. This is now needed to show the invoices that if you've done monthly billing, to show the future invoices that's also handed over based on the rule, your section 41 rule. And on the account itself, we do indicate with tags on when a section 41 was sent and when handed over process was executed. If no action can be taken on account, the follow-up button will be disabled. Then I just want to show you that you can manually execute follow-ups as well. So if you go to debtors and to the account report and use filter for a specific aging day, and let's just choose a random account, you are in control to do a manual follow-up per account. There's no recipients on this one. Let me just because they've blocked the communication. I just want to unblock this. Okay, so this disable communication features allows you to disable specific communication to the parent. If, for example, I don't have an email and you can only get all of them by SMS, then you would choose disable email, and so that only SMS is available. Okay, so now then if you click now on follow up for this account, because it's only one account, we give you the option to specify what action manual action you'd like to take. We still pre-select the suggested action that you need to take, but if you'd like to send a registered letter, you can just click on the action to change what action needs to happen. And as you can see, the content here at the bottom changed, where you get an exact preview of how the email would look like that is going to be sent to this account with the school details, the account information, the view statement button, the balance specific to this account that's more than 90 days. So this is the 19 days plus amount, referencing the school act and the details. Now, this is where you can also add specific context from your school, like your SGB meeting or what action has been decided. These templates are editable. Okay, you can create it and send it immediately as well. Okay, Is there perhaps any questions?
Yes, I think I'll come on.
So, sorry.
Thanks, Yaku, for that demonstration. Okay, so we got a few questions, a lot on pricing. We will share price lists with you guys after the webinar, so look out for that. But what I want to mention, we ran a poll and 80% of you guys indicated that it's still a manual process. All of this that Yaku showed us that can be automated is still done by hand and still weighing down your admin staff. We actually had a school that said they were either going to appoint someone to do all of the follow-ups, or they're going to get fees, and they decided they're getting fees because it's really the way to go in this day and age. Why do you want to still do manual stuff if it can be automated? You just need to set it up right. And that is also where we will hold your hand during the configuration of your workflows, as you've seen now, so you can prepare for a better financial sustainability for your school. We are currently also refining a few features. So if you have any feature requests, please reach out to us. Let us know what you think, and we will be in touch and we can do a workshop. We always listen to our schools when they say they have a need for something. If enough schools want to use it that way, we research how they use it and we build it into the system. But we really think that we will address the need for a lot of our schools and helping them to collect the funds that's so needed in our schools. Thank you very much.